What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, let's talk about Saved by the Bell. Dustin Diamond recently passed away. That was very unfortunate. Especially it was unfortunate because, number one, I'm a big fan of the series. You know, I grew up watching the series. But number two, you know, the reboot is back, and they've already brought back Zach and Kelly and Slater and Jesse. Lisa had a cameo appearance in season 1, and I was kind of holding out hope that they were going to have Screech in season 2. Unfortunately, you know, that time has passed, and Dustin Diamond has passed on. But got me thinking, what are my favorite episodes of Saved by the Bell all time? One of my all-time favorite episodes. So I actually sat down and I picked out my 15 favorite episodes. Why 15? Well, it's my list, and I decided that these were the 15 that I liked the most. So that's what we stuck with. I did not include the college years on this. I considered them, but none of them really reached the heights of that original show. And I did not include any Good Morning Miss Bliss episodes. Again, I considered them, and there was one episode that I thought about putting in the top 15, but it was so low on the list of the top 15 that I decided, you know what, let's just exclude Good Morning Miss Bliss episodes also, and let's just focus on the main series, Saved by the Bell. So there's no new class on this. This is just the main series featuring Zach, Kelly, Slater, Jesse, and Screech. All right. So let's go ahead and start with number 15. Number 15 is Season 4, Episode 3, Screech's Spaghetti Sauce. And this is one of those episodes that probably didn't resonate with a lot of people like it did with me, but for whatever reason, this one just kind of stuck with me. You know, this is one of those episodes that when I think about Saved by the Bell, this is one of those episodes that kind of pop into my head for whatever reason. You know, the sauce you can have, but the secret, she's a mine. I just, you know, it's just one of those episodes that just stuck with me. You know, it was one of those money-making schemes from Zach, him trying to take advantage of Screech, but Screech also showing some of his intelligence here, some of his ability to be creative, and I just like the episode. So that's number 15. All right, number 14. Number 14 is another Screech-centric episode. It is Season 1, Episode 10, Beauty and the Screech. So this is the one where Kelly needs help studying for a test. So she gets tutored by Screech, and during their tutor sessions, feelings start to develop. Now, when you really think about this episode doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they never explored any kind of feelings between Screech and Kelly before. And it was always one of those things where you know why they didn't, because it just would not have made any sense in the context of where those characters have been, the relationships they've had, who they are socially, and just none of it really made any sense. But for whatever reason, I found the episode endearing. And I found the episode endearing because that happens sometimes with young people. When they spend a lot of time together, they can mistake friendship for something else. And kudos to Saved by the Bell for kind of tackling that topic and for having both of them come to a mature conclusion at the end by saying, you know what, we're better as friends. We're better as friends. And so I like that. So again, probably wouldn't make a lot of your guys' top 15 list, but that was an episode that also kind of stuck with me. So that was number 14, Beauty and the Screech. All right, number 13 is Season 4, Episode 26, Graduation. So this was the last episode with the main cast, and this is the one where Zach needed, he was 1 credit shy of graduation, and amazingly enough, you can get that credit, but you have to be in the school ballet, or the school play, or whatever it was, the Swan Princess, I think it was, and they end up getting him involved in that, and it all, I don't know. The whole concept behind getting one last credit in the last second so you can graduate, as an educator, I know that that's absurd. But at the same time, I mean, what was the guidance counselor doing, right? That guidance counselor should be fired. Yeah, the whole thing was absurd, but what really got me in this episode was the send off, the graduation. Um, Jesse allowing Screech to talk, Screech letting Zach talk, and then Zach's speech there at the end. As somebody who is a lifelong fan of the show, that has always been a nice capstone. Now we know that they go on to the college years and the wedding, and they move on, and we have more content with these characters after this episode. But this really felt like an end to that initial storyline. So number 13 is graduation. Number 12. Number 12 is season 1, episode 11, The Friendship Business. And everybody knows this episode, right? You got friendship bracelets and buddy bands. Again, it was one of those ridiculous concepts where the whole episode is kind of revolves around a class assignment. And Zach has his big money making scheme, and then some of his friends kind of flip the script on him. And when you really kind of dissect it, I don't think that there's a whole lot of uniqueness in this episode. I don't think that there's anything that happened in this episode that really stuck continuity wise. Saved by the Bell was always real loose with its continuity, but this again is one of those episodes that just kind of stuck with me for whatever reason. So that's The Friendship Business, number 12. All right, number 11. Number 11 is season 3, episode 21, No Hope with Dope. And this is the one where they had a movie star come to Bayside to film a anti-drugs commercial, and they come to find out that the movie star is on drugs. He's filming the anti-drug commercial, but he is on drugs. Come on, Kelly, take a hit. and they end up taking their stand against him. Zach does his whole "you're not who I thought you were" speech, and then eventually Belding, who just happens to be friends with somebody from NBC, the NBC executive comes in, and they film their own anti-drug commercial. The whole episode is basically an anti-drug propaganda episode, but there was this certain earnestness to it that Saved by the Bell is always real good at. They're always real good at being earnest in their messaging that they were trying to convey. There was no subtlety in it. They were always wanting to bang you over the head with whatever message they were conveying at that time. And there's just this certain charm to the No Hope with Dope episode. All right, so that's number 11. All right, number 10. Number 10 is season 1, episode 4, Fatal Distraction. And this is the one where Zach learns about subliminal messaging in you're listening to a song and you put a subliminal message in there, and it can kind of controls people's thinking. So he puts subliminal messages into Kelly's music about, loving Zach is the greatest, etc., etc. And it kind of backfires on him when Kelly finds out what he was doing. She gets a bunch of girls in the school to participate in a prank on him, to where basically they all turn into Zach zombies. So it was, as a young teenager watching it, I was like, and they were all these girls were after him, and he was trying to get away. I was like, what's the problem, Zach? But it was kind of this Twilight Zone moment for him, where he was like, oh no, I gotta get out of here. So Fatal Distraction is number 10. All right, number 9 is season 2, episode 15, The Fabulous Belding Boys. And this is not an episode that I would have ranked high when I was young. But now, as an educator, as a teacher, as somebody who, really cares about his students, I look at The Fabulous Belding Boys and I'm like, Belding was a good dude. He was a good dude. Because, so this is an episode where Belding's brother comes in and he substitute teaches. And he plans this big, there's this big ski trip at the school. And Belding always goes with the kids. Mr. Belding always goes with the kids. And this year, the kids, they kind of say, you know what? instead of taking the ski trip, your brother wants to take this other trip with us, and we love your brother, so we want to go on this other trip with him. Well, Belding's brother's kind of a bad dude, and he ditches the kids in the last minute to go out with a girl. And you see Belding swallow his pride and say, "All right, kids, let's fix this. I'll still go on a trip with you guys." And again, you kind of see just how good of a dude Belding was, and how much he cared for those kids. And that's something that I mean, it's not like that's the first time they ever touched on it, but that was an episode where you really saw him swallow his pride and do what was best for his students. So I really appreciated that. That's number 9. All right, number 8. Number 8 is Rockumentary, Season 3, Episode 22, Rockumentary. So this is the classic Zack Attack episode where Casey Kasem is doing a VH1 behind-the-scenes episode talking about the Zack Attack. This is where you get the Friends Forever song. Turns out it was all a dream that Zack had, but this is one of those that just sticks with you largely because of the visuals and because of the music. The Friends Forever song, it's become kind of this Saved by the Bell staple. And yeah, it has just a lot of iconic Saved by the Bell images, moments, and sounds. And for that reason, Rockumentary obviously ranks high on this list. I think that it's a silly episode, and it really has nothing to do with the overall Saved by the Bell mythology. The overall storyline, but for whatever reason, a lot of the content in this episode just kind of stuck. So Rockumentary is number 8. All right, number 7 is Season 1, Episode 15, King of the Hill. And this was actually the last episode of Season 1, but it was supposed to be the pilot episode. And for whatever reason, they showed it at the end, and then they put this little tack on the beginning of the episode where Zack says, I was the top dog until Slater came to school, until Slater transferred in, and then him and I had to compete for Kelly's affections. And this is the episode where Slater transfers in. And they get into like this prank war with each other for who's kind of the top dog at Bayside. And it obviously leads to their friendship. But again, this was the last episode of Season 1. After we've had a full season of Slater, and the last episode, they give us the pilot episode. I don't know. Saved by the Bell did this a lot. Like, there were cases where, like, in Season 4, they released an episode that was filmed in Season 1. So all of a sudden, the kids were, the gang was younger again. It was really odd the way they did that. But King of the Hill was very entertaining, and it definitely laid the foundation for that friendship between Zack and Slater. All right, number 6. Number 6 is Season 2, Episode 8, Miss Bayside. This is another Screech-centric episode. This is the episode where they get Screech to run from Miss Bayside. And this was just all sorts of funny. I cracked up at this episode when I was a kid, and I still find this episode amusing today, especially the end when Mr. Belding is singing the Miss Bayside song. It's just so funny, and just... Dustin Diamond proved again with this episode just how funny of a performer he was, because he just nailed it. And obviously Dennis Haskins with Belding, they just played off of each other really good. So Miss Bayside was number 6. All right, number 5 is one of the later episodes, Season 4, Episode 20, Snow White and the Seven Dorks. So this one is about a production that they're putting on of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And this is a episode that kind of focuses on a what-if scenario between Zack and Jesse. Zack and Jesse, it was always Slater and Jesse, but this episode it became Zack and Jesse because they had never done that before. They'd never explored that before, so they explored it here. And what I liked about this episode was just the interaction in the cast in the production of Snow White and the Seven Dorks. It was a rap production. The music, for whatever reason, I always found it to be very funny, and I found the nerds that were playing the Seven Dorks to be very endearing in their own way, and I just had a lot of fun watching them. So number 5 is Snow White and the Seven Dorks. All right, number 4. Number 4 is Season 3, Episode 12, The Last Weekend. So we're at the Malibu Beach Resort now. And this was kind of the end of the summer. Remember when they worked out at the beach resort, and Zach met Stacy Carosi, played by Leah Remini. That's how you say her name, right? The King of Queens girl, Scientology girl. And this was one of those moments, you know, that I related to. You know, I had a few times in my life where I'd have like a summer romance, and at the end of the summer, you knew it was over. I specifically am thinking of one specific one right now where I had a summer romance, and at the end of the summer, it was over. And it was okay, you know, it was okay. It was part of growing up, understanding that, okay, this is over now. And mine actually was, I won't say, just in case I won't say anything about who it was or where it happened. But yeah, when it was over, you knew it was over, and that was okay. And there's a certain kind of melancholy sweetness to it, you know, this the growing pains of childhood, the growing pains of reaching adulthood. And that was definitely one of Zach's moments, you know, when at the end of the summer, Stacy was going back to New York, and they knew it, and they knew it was over, but that didn't mean they couldn't have that moment. So yeah, I related to that. So that's number 4, The Last Weekend. All right, number 3. Number 3 is one that a lot of people are going to probably put at number 1. It might be the most famous Saved by the Bell episode, and it is season 2, episode 9, Jessie's Song. It's the one where she gets addicted to caffeine pills, and it's iconic. It's an iconic episode, and it's not because the girls are trying to be in this rock band or whatever. It's because Saved by the Bell decided to be something different. Season 2, episode 9, Saved by the Bell decided, let's tackle issues. Now, I don't think they were going to ever have anybody get hooked on cocaine or anything like that. That's not the type of show that Saved by the Bell was. But they, you know, that was for Beverly Hills 90210 and some of the other teen dramas that was happening around that time. But Saved by the Bell was a little more kid-friendly, but they still wanted to tackle important issues. And one of the first ones they tackled was drug addiction. So what's a safe drug to tell in this type of show? Well, they went with caffeine pills. Was it over the top? Was it a little silly? Absolutely. Absolutely it was. Was there some overacting on the part of Elizabeth Berkley? For sure. But again, it was earnest. And it had a goal in mind, and for the most part, it achieved that goal. It got people talking. Heck, people still talk about that episode. So number 3 is season 2, episode 9, Jessie's Song. All right. Number 2 is season 2, episode 1, The Prom. And this is the episode where Zach and Kelly kind of get together, right? She wants to go to the prom, but her dad lost his job. She can't afford a dress. She can't afford to go. So what does Zach do? Zach shows how much he cares about her, and he stages a prom outside of the prom. And I like this episode for a couple reasons. Number 1, it shows just how good of a guy Zach is, because Saved by the Bell spends so much time showing how bad of a dude he is, right? There's even a YouTube channel dedicated to Zach Morris as a jerk. I mean, he's always getting into these schemes. He's always doing these things. He's always taking advantage of people. But this showed his sweetness. It showed his tender side. This showed that, yeah, there is a person in there that cares. And, you know, might be able to make the argument that he was doing this for himself, but I think there's definitely also a certain genuine doing it for Kelly. And it was also the start of their relationship that would span, 3 seasons after that would go into the college years, that would go into the made-for-TV wedding. That was it could all kind of be traced back to this episode. And I like continuity in Saved by the Bell, and it didn't have a lot of it. But this was a case where there was definitely continuity there. So, number 2 is The Prom. Number 1 is the other side of that coin. Number 1 is season 3, episode 1, The Last Dance. So season 2 started with a dance and them getting together. Season 3 started with a dance and them breaking up. Kelly, an impressionable young lady, falls for her college boss. And she ends up cheating on Zach and then breaking up with Zach. And a lot of people don't like this episode. A lot of people don't like the idea that Kelly cheated on him and then left him and then broke up with him. But for me, I look at it's a snapshot of being a teenager, right? Teenagers in relationships, in romantic relationships, make a lot of stupid decisions. Trust me. Trust me. And and what I saw here was, Kelly making a dumb decision, one that would eventually come back to bite her later in the season. But it was also an example of Zach's first heartbreak. He loses his first love in this episode, and who can't relate to that? You know, most of us don't marry our high school sweethearts. Some of us do. Most of us don't. And we can all kind of relate to that first heartbreak, that first loss. And we saw Zach experience that first loss there, and we saw Kelly experience it too, to be honest with you. You could tell that she cared for Zach, and she what happened. And we saw the fallout of that for several episodes. The fact that this was an ongoing story. And again, I liked continuity in Saved by the Bell, and this was an ongoing story, so I appreciated that. So that's my favorite episode, The Last Dance. It had some heartbreak in it, but it also had some, like I said, a snapshot of being a teenager. Because most teenagers experience that kind of heartbreak or rejection or dilemma at some point. So thought it was very genuine and even somewhat authentic. And Saved by the Bell wasn't always authentic either, but I felt that moment was. So that was my favorite episode. That being said, guys, what is your favorite episode of Saved by the Bell? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. I'd love to have a conversation about it. There were a lot of good ones that I left off of this list, but I had to choose 15. So let me know what your favorite was. While you're down there leaving your comments, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.